I wanted to do a video on just kind of the knives that I've been using. And I took a step back and I looked at my collection. And there's like three key knives that over the past 3 years, 2 or 3 years, I've carried consistently more than the other knives in my collection. I own about 50 knives, between 50 or 60 knives. So these three are the ones that I've carried just in recent months, recent times, we'll say. Um, so it's funny, I was trying to remember how long these things had actually been in my pockets. So this case trapper, I went back and found my email receipt. This one I purchased in February of 2022. So I had been collecting knives for a long time before I finally stopped and thought, well, maybe I should get a case trapper, because you always hear great things about them. So this one's like the yellow Delrin CV carbon steel, and I'm sure there's many videos on knives just like this. The fit and finish on this one I think is pretty good for a case knife. You can see it's got a little crack in the pin, but you know, whatever, for a knife that you carry in your pocket, that's fine. Bound to happen sooner or later. So the only thing I'll say, pretty much any case knife that I actually carry, they're notorious, right, for having those rounded tips. So I pretty much always hit them with like a sanding wheel and try to put something of a point on the blades. Like I was saying, I got this one in February of 2022, and I carried it for about, by my math, 10 months. It was December of that same year before I kind of moved on to the next thing. So again, I'm sure everybody's probably familiar with a case trapper, but this was one of my knives that I carried for a pretty good amount of time. 10 months is pretty good for me for a knife to carry. And so actually, what did I move on to? Well, there's kind of a logical, well, I don't know how logical, but there's something of a progression that I'll kind of talk through you here with. So in December, I moved on to this Great Eastern Cutlery possum skinner, pattern number 81. So I distinctly remember waiting in the car while my wife was at a doctor's appointment. We were like, we took the day off work and we're doing something later that day. She had like a 10 or 15 minute doctor's appointment. So I just waited in the car for her to be done. And, you know, messing around on my phone like many of us probably do when we have downtime. So I remember being on collectorknives.net's website and just like seeing that, like, wow, they actually had a Great Eastern Cutlery knife in stock. It had probably been a good like a good 2 years since I had actually like seen one available in stock, like from a real knife dealer's website. Just because they at some point in time became difficult to get. So this wasn't like a knife that I thought was like really cool or anything. Like I didn't really understand like why would somebody want two clip blades? Like that seemed odd to me. But it was like, well, you know, how often do you come across a Great Eastern Cutlery knife that's actually in stock? So I went ahead and bought it. And I was like pretty pleasantly surprised with the knife when it actually showed up. Like I really liked that it was thin and just kind of disappeared in your pocket. Like look at how thin the blades are. And I thought the name of the handle material, like they called it red onion micarta, like that didn't, you know, there's all kinds of cool handle material names that they have, like, you know, like red ox blood jig bone or whatever. Like I thought red onion micarta didn't sound like very cool, but like that the handle material, like in person, I thought was actually like totally fine for a carry knife. Like I didn't see anything wrong with it. You know what I mean? So I got this one in December of 2022, and you know, looking back through my email history of the knives I've bought, it was June of 2024 before I really bought the next knife that I kind of moved on to. So it was, you know, about 19 months that I carried this knife. And I really like being able to like you have, I think I would always use this blade for like any food that I was going to cut up. And then like, you know, like cardboard or whatever, I would have the other blade handy. So it was kind of nice to have two blades. But I think what really made me move on from this knife, which I like carbon steel for something to carry. I really do. Um, but I really just wanted something like stainless that I could just kind of not think about, like not have to worry about. So in June, I ordered this Boker. It's called a Boker Stockman. It's a single bladed knife. I don't really know what the rules are for what qualifies as a Stockman. According to Boker, this is a Stockman, but everything I know about Stockmans, that would kind of break some of the definitions. So Boker's really not a knife brand that I know much about. But what I do know is like if you want a like German made knife, from what I understand, you want your blade to be stamped Sologen, or however you say that. You want it to be like stamped in the blade because there's like differences for what constitutes like being made in Germany. So this one is stamped Sologen. It's something I got from Smoky Mountain Knife Works. It's 440C stainless steel. I kind of like that it's just like a no nonsense knife. Just like a micarta handle with brass bolsters. And the stainless blade material, obviously. So this one, they still have them on their website, and they usually sell for like these are in the 130, 140 and up dollar range. And I don't think personally, we all like what we like, but I don't think personally I would pay that much for this knife. They were like I don't know if they were on clearance or if they just were like having some sort of sale, but I paid I think it was like $79 that I paid for this knife, which for like a German made knife. And again, I'm not like an expert on Bokers or anything, but like, the walk and talk and the fit and finish is all like great on this knife. The blade is nice and centered. It seems like just like, like a really nice case knife, like nicer than a lot of the case knives I've handled in recent times. But so, the reason I ended up with this one is just kind of, I wanted something that wasn't carbon steel and I wouldn't have to worry about it rusting. So I pretty much carried this one right up until, like I showed the Bear & Sons Stockman in the last video I did. Like I'm, as a knife person, I'm kind of aware of like the brand reputation of Bear & Sons, but like, that's the one I'm carrying right now. For $38, I think it's a pretty nice knife to just have in your pocket and to just use whenever you feel like, and not have to worry about like, is the blade gonna rust, or am I gonna drop the knife and crack the bone handle? So right here, I mean, you're looking at about like 2.5 years of what's kind of been in my pocket. And what I've been, mostly for the most part using. So appreciate everybody watching. Thank you.